Hello and welcome to the Gustavo Franco Podcast, where we explore the multifaceted world of healthcare. I'm your host, Gustavo Franco, a passionate healthcare student and researcher. Our mission is to better understand the US healthcare system while studying both its flaws and strengths, as well as comparing it to other healthcare systems around the globe. Not only do we examine the policies and regulations behind healthcare, but we also take a closer look at the experiences of patients and doctors within the system. We aim to provide listeners with a deeper understanding of how healthcare truly operates. We share stories of individuals navigating the US healthcare system, as well as present engaging interviews with professionals offering their experiences and expertise to help us understand the inner workings of healthcare. We believe that an informed public is the key to creating a more effective healthcare system, and we dedicate ourselves to this mission, providing insights and analysis on the ever-changing landscape of the US healthcare system. Join us as we embark on a journey of studying healthcare together. Please note that the opinions expressed on this podcast are ours and of our guests, and do not constitute any professional advice. While we strive to be as accurate as possible, we acknowledge that there are often many viewpoints on a given topic, and our research may not be exhaustive. Therefore, we encourage listeners to engage with the subject matter and conduct their own research and confirm any information before making any decisions. Thank you for listening and joining us on this healthcare exploration. Welcome to a new episode of the Gustavo Franco Podcast. Today, we'll delve into a topic that's creating ripples across the healthcare landscape and beyond, the world of GLP-1 agonists, with a spotlight on Ozempic. Semaglutide, commercially known as Ozempic, was introduced by Novo Nordisk in the United States market in 2017, marking a significant breakthrough in diabetes management. Ozempic represents the duality of modern pharmacology. Originally formulated for diabetes management, its lower dose effectively regulates blood sugar by mimicking the GLP-1 hormone. Yet, in a twist of fate, its skin, like Wegovy, have risen to fame for their higher doses designed specifically for weight loss by curbing appetite. What sets Ozempic apart is its administration, a convenient weekly injection that contrasts sharply with the daily regimen typical of traditional diabetes medications. This ease of use has not only improved patient compliance, but has also opened new doors in treating obesity and associated health conditions like coronary heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. But there's more to this story. The rise of drugs like Ozempic have sparked a debate. While they offer significant health benefits, there's a growing concern about a potential counter effect. Could reliance on such medications lead to a complacency in lifestyle choices? Are we risking a scenario where individuals continue unhealthy eating habits, relying on a drug to manage their weight, thus undermining the broader benefits of a healthy lifestyle? The economic implications are vast and varied. We'll explore how the weight loss effects of these drugs could lead to cost saving in industries like aviation through reduced fuel consumption, and potentially impact sectors like fast food, reflecting the diverse economic effects of weight management initiatives. The complexities only increase as we'll shift to today's healthcare industry. How do insurance companies view these drugs? Are we witnessing a shift in perspective from short-term considerations to recognizing the long-term health benefits? Could upcoming legislative changes redefine the landscape of medical insurance and drug coverage? As we set the stage for an in-depth discussion, we'll examine the multifaceted impact of Ozempic and its GLP-1 counterparts on healthcare, society, and the economy. Join me as we navigate this complex and evolving terrain, understanding the broader implications of these groundbreaking medications. So let's start with the basics. You might have heard names like Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, or even Rybelsus being thrown around in conversations, on TV, or in your social media feeds. They're all part of a family of drugs known as GLP-1 receptor agonists. Now, these aren't just any ordinary medications. They're like the Swiss Army knives of the pharmaceutical world. But there's a bit of a mix-up that we need to clear up first. Many folks lump all these drugs together under one name, Ozempic. And I'm sure you've heard all of the fame behind Ozempic. But hold on, that's not quite right. Let me explain. The drug semaglutide under the brand name Ozempic made a grand entry primarily for managing type 2 diabetes. It's like the superstar of blood sugar control. But here's where things get interesting. This type of drug also found a place in the world of weight loss, although that was not its main gig. But Ozempic isn't the only player in town. There's a whole lineup of GLP-1 drugs, each with its unique role. Take Wegovy, for instance, also based on semaglutide, but it's the go-to guy specifically for weight loss. It's like having a specialized agent for a particular mission. Then there's Saxenda, or liraglutide, another ace up our sleeve. Saxenda steps into the ring of weight loss, helping people regulate their appetite and maintain their hard-earned weight loss victories. And we can't forget about Rybelsus, the oral version of semaglutide, making strides in controlling blood sugar for those battling with type 2 diabetes. It's like the convenient sidekick in this saga. Last but not least, let's welcome Mounjaro, or tirzepatide. It's the new challenger, fighting on two fronts, weight loss and type 2 diabetes management. Talk about versatility, huh? So, as we move forward in our series, we'll be talking about all of these incredible GLP-1 drugs. I just wanted to make sure from the beginning that we all know that these drugs are not all weight loss drugs, and they're not all the same. Some are for diabetes, some for weight loss, and some for both. Through this episode, we're not just focusing on one player, we're looking at the whole league. From diabetes management to weight loss, these drugs are making waves in healthcare, and we'll have to explore every ripple. But how do these medical marvels work? What's the science behind them? Let's zoom in on the biology of GLP-1 drugs and unravel their mechanism of action. It's time to put on our lab coats and dive into the world of hormones and metabolism. Imagine a hormone in your body that's a master regulator of your blood sugar levels. That's glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1 for short. Now, here's where our star drugs come into play. GLP-1 drugs are like the body's impersonators. They mimic this natural hormone to help keep our blood sugar in check. It's like having a stunt double doing all the hard work. Let's break it down further. You've had a meal and your blood sugar starts to rise. Normally, your pancreas jumps into action, releasing insulin to help your cells absorb and utilize all of this glucose. But with GLP-1 drugs, this process gets a supercharge. They push the pancreas to release even more insulin, ensuring that every bit of blood sugar is put to good use. Think of it as turbocharging your body's natural response to a meal. But wait, there's more to these drugs than just playing with insulin. They have a secret weapon in the fight against weight gain, slowing down gastric emptying. In simpler terms, food travels slower through your digestive tract. The result? You feel full for longer. Your appetite takes a backseat and you end up eating less. People describe it as having the constant food noise in your head suddenly disappear. It's like having a natural brake system in your stomach, helping you say no to that extra slice of cake. Research has shown that GLP-1 drugs are the most effective medications for long-term, sustained weight loss. They work by acting on your body's set point, or the weight your body naturally fights to maintain. They regulate not just your blood sugar response, but also your overall metabolic function, making you feel fuller for longer. It's a full circle approach to managing your weight and improving metabolic health. So there you have it, the biology of GLP-1 drugs in a nutshell. They're not just about managing diabetes, they're about reshaping the way we think about weight loss and appetite control. It's a fascinating blend of endocrinology and pharmacology. Now let's talk history. As we delve further into the world of GLP-1 drugs, we'll take a step back to understand their fascinating journey from discovery to the groundbreaking treatments that we see today. Our story begins in the mid to late 20th century, a pivotal era in diabetes research. Scientists discovered that certain intestinal extracts could lower blood glucose levels, sparking interest in the incretin hormones. These are gut-derived peptide hormones that are released in response to a meal. The first incretin, GIP, was identified in the 1970s, and soon after, a pivotal discovery was made, the glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1. By the 1980s, researchers unraveled the complexities of the proglucagon gene. It's fascinating to note that proglucagon isn't just one big component. It's a larger gene that creates a series of substances that perform various roles in your body. Among these substances is GLP-1, a key player primarily released in our intestines. Now let's fast forward to 2005. This year marked a milestone with the FDA approval of Exendin 4, also known as exenatide or Byetta, the world's first GLP-1 receptor agonist for the adjuvant treatment of type 2 diabetes. But why did it take nearly 2 decades from the discovery of GLP-1 to the development of exenatide? The answer lies in the intricate process of understanding and harnessing this hormone's potential alongside technological advancements and rigorous clinical trials. While exenatide was a breakthrough, it didn't quite capture the market like modern GLP-1 drugs. The need for twice-daily injections was a significant limitation. This spurred further innovation, leading to the development of more convenient formulations. In 2010, Novo Nordisk's liraglutide, branded as Victoza, received FDA approval, offering a once-daily injection option. But the real game changer came in 2014 with the introduction of dulaglutide by Lilly. Administered just once a week, dulaglutide simplified the treatment regimen significantly and quickly rose to prominence in the GLP-1 market. 2017 was yet another landmark year. Novo Nordisk launched semaglutide, the one that we all talk about, known as Ozempic, with an extended half-life allowing for once-a-week dosing. This was followed by the 2019 approval of Rybelsus, the first oral GLP-1 analog treatment, marking a significant step in enhancing patient convenience and adherence. Fast forward to 2022, and we witness the advent of Eli Lilly's tirzepatide. This novel dual GLP-1 GIPR agonist not only activates GLP-1 receptors, but also GIP receptors. Remember that first incretin hormone that was first identified in the 1970s? This offers a more comprehensive approach to managing blood glucose and body weight. This drug was just recently FDA approved for weight loss under brand name Zepbound, and its clinical trials showed it to be more effective than all drugs out there in the market so far. So, what started as a curious observation in intestinal extracts has blossomed into a revolutionary class of drugs, reshaping diabetes treatment and opening new avenues in weight management. As we wrap up our introduction of the fascinating world of GLP-1 drugs, it's crucial to recognize the diverse landscape of these medications. The journey of GLP-1 agonists has culminated in a diverse array of treatments. Once again, I want to emphasize that often Ozempic becomes a blanket term used to refer to various GLP-1 drugs. It's important to clarify that Ozempic, specifically designed for diabetes management, it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The realm of GLP-1 agonists is rich and varied. These drugs come in different forms, from injectables to oral tablets, offering flexibility and catering to individual needs and preferences. Their dosages vary, and so do their combinations. A prime example is tirzepatide, a novel drug that not only acts as a GLP-1 agonist, but also targets the GIP hormone, enhancing its effectiveness in both diabetes management and weight loss. Each GLP-1 drug is crafted with a specific purpose and targeted audience in mind. While some are tailored for weight loss in adults, others, like liraglutide, are indicated for children as young as 12 years old, marking a significant expansion in the treatment options available for younger populations. This diversity signifies a major shift in how we approach diseases like diabetes and obesity. It's not a one-size-fits-all scenario anymore. Physicians now have a broader toolkit, enabling them to prescribe treatments that align closely with their patients' unique health profiles and lifestyle needs. But what else could this bring? What if people rely on these drugs instead of making any improvements to their lifestyle choices? As we delve deeper into the series, we'll explore the nuances of these drugs, the remarkable ways in which they can shape healthcare, and the many points of debate which highlight the potential dangers of these drugs. We'll begin now by unraveling the factors behind the meteoric rise of these remarkable medications. It all began with a tweet on October 1st, 2022. Elon Musk, a name synonymous with groundbreaking innovation and constant controversy, casually reviewed his use of Wegovy, a GLP-1 drug, combined with fasting as his method for weight loss, which he claimed saw him lose 30 pounds. This single endorsement by likely the world's most influential figure significantly amplified public awareness and interest in GLP-1 drugs. Suddenly, forums, discussion boards, and news outlets were abuzz with conversations about GLP-1 drugs. People who had never even considered pharmacological interventions for weight loss started to explore with these options. Musk's tweet not only highlighted the drug's effectiveness, but also broke down stigmas associated with weight loss medications. But Musk's revelation was just the tip of the iceberg. A general frustration with traditional weight loss methods was already brewing. Countless individuals found that these methods were too restrictive and often ineffective. GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy offered a more manageable and less restrictive approach to weight loss, becoming an appealing alternative for those struggling with conventional diets and exercise regimens. Even major players in the weight loss industry, like Weight Watchers, recognized the potential for GLP-1 drugs as the future of weight management. But beyond the industry's recognition, it was the media and public perceptions that truly propelled these drugs to fame. Online mentions of celebrities taking GLP-1 drugs for weight loss became commonplace. Television producer and host Andy Cohen, for example, tweeted on September 22nd, 2022, the noticeable weight loss in people using Ozempic, saying, "Everyone is suddenly showing up 25 pounds lighter. What happens when they stop taking Ozempic?" ? Sparking widespread conversations. And it wasn't just public forums. In private circles, especially in the entertainment industry, encrypted apps like Signal ran rampant with endorsements of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. These private conversations among industry insiders created an underground buzz, adding fuel to the fire of this new obsession. Still, the most viral impact perhaps was seen on platforms like TikTok. Users shared their experiences and results using hashtags like #MyOzempicJourney, featuring personal weight loss stories, tips, and striking before and after comparisons. This viral trend not only increased awareness, but also contributed to the appeal of GLP-1 drugs among the younger audiences, namely Gen Z. However, we must approach these shared experiences with caution, as they may not always be medically accurate and can vary significantly from person to person. Still, the growth of the GLP-1 drug industry has been nothing short of phenomenal. Since the birth of the industry in 2005, which primarily targeted diabetes, the gradual realization of their potential in weight loss, paired with the growing focus on preventative healthcare due to the rising costs of chronic health conditions, set the stage for an industry boom. In early August 2023, the trailblazing Novo Nordisk, which created Ozempic and Wegovy, saw its market cap surpass the entire GDP of Denmark, with 423 billion versus 352 billion, highlighting the immense economic impact of these drugs. It's worth noting that we're comparing apples to oranges here, with the apples being the valuation of a company, Novo Nordisk, and oranges here being the total output or revenue of Denmark in form of GDP. Still, this falls nothing short of a shocking observation. The anti-obesity drug market, once a relatively modest sector, has skyrocketed. From a valuation of $6 billion earlier this year, it's now projected to reach a staggering $100 billion by 2030. Analysts from Goldman Sachs estimate that approximately 15 million American adults could be taking anti-obesity medications in the coming decade. This isn't just a trend propped up by aggressive market tactics, but truly represents a fundamental shift in how society and the medical community perceive and tackle obesity. No longer just a lifestyle issue, obesity is now recognized as a complex, multifaceted condition that requires a comprehensive approach, including medical intervention. Stay with us as we continue to explore the multifaceted world of GLP-1 drugs and their impact on our lives. In our last segment, we delved into the rising popularity of GLP-1 drugs. Now, we'll turn our focus to how these drugs are being prescribed in the real world. We'll uncover the nuances behind these labels and explore the reasons behind their expanding use, both within and beyond their original intended purposes. Let's start with Ozempic, a household name in the world of GLP-1 drugs. Initially celebrated for its effectiveness in type 2 diabetes management, Ozempic's journey didn't stop there. It quickly gained a reputation among both patients and healthcare providers for its weight loss benefits, causing the narrative around Ozempic to start to shift. The real turning point came with the publication of clinical studies that underscored Ozempic's effectiveness in weight management. Patients of Ozempic not only saw improvements in their blood sugar levels, but also experienced substantial weight reduction. These findings sparked a surge in off-label use of Ozempic for weight loss, especially among those who had found little success with traditional diet and exercise regimens, or other weight loss medications. This dual usage of Ozempic reflects a growing trend in medicine, repurposing drugs to extend their therapeutic benefits. In Ozempic's case, it transitioned from a diabetes drug to a magic weight loss drug, gaining popularity among individuals seeking effective obesity management solutions, offering new hope and solutions to patients with complex health needs. However, off-label usage of any drug raises a whole array of new issues, namely access, which we will cover later. Unlike Ozempic, Wegovy entered the market with a clear target: obesity. Despite also consisting of semaglutide, Wegovy was specifically developed and approved for weight loss in individuals who are obese or overweight and grappling with related health conditions such as high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, or high cholesterol. This targeted approach was a calculated move by Novo Nordisk, signaling a deeper understanding of obesity as a complex, multifaceted health issue requiring specialized treatment. The approval of Wegovy by the FDA in June 2021 was more than just another drug entering the market. It was a defining moment in the GLP-1 drug history. For the first time, a drug in this class was explicitly recognized for its ability to tackle obesity directly, not as a secondary effect of diabetes management. This move was backed by robust clinical trials, demonstrating significant weight loss in participants, further solidifying its role in obesity treatment. Wegovy's entrance into the market did more than just provide a new option for those struggling with obesity. It fundamentally altered the perception of GLP-1 drugs, both within the medical community and the public sphere. Healthcare providers began to view GLP-1 drugs not just as means to manage diabetes, but as a crucial element in the broader battle against obesity. This shift was profound, with implications for prescribing patterns, insurance coverage, and patient expectations. The impact of Wegovy on the public's perception of weight management was just as transformative. The drug was approved when obesity started being recognized as a complex disease influenced by a multitude of factors, including genetics, environment, and metabolic health. In this context, Wegovy offered a ray of hope, a scientifically backed solution that went beyond diet and exercise. As we reach the present, we welcome Zepbound, the newest member of the GLP-1 drug family. Zepbound's FDA approval on November 8th is a game changer. It signals a growing recognition of obesity as a multifaceted health issue, requiring a nuanced and comprehensive treatment approach. This drug offers hope to a broader spectrum of individuals struggling with obesity, especially those for whom traditional methods have fallen short. Eli Lilly has also given Zepbound a list price of $1,059.87, which is 20% lower than Wegovy's list price of $1,349, increasing its reach and allowing more people with obesity to access it. All of these factors are why healthcare professionals are keenly observing Zepbound's potential impact in the near future. According to endocrinologists and obesity experts, Zepbound could be a pivotal tool in combating the obesity epidemic. Its efficacy, combined with a favorable safety profile, makes it a compelling option for long-term weight management among the sea of new drugs vying for pole position. But now, let's go back to the time where these drugs weren't yet prescribed for weight loss and define off-label use. When a GLP-1 drug approved for diabetes, like Ozempic, is used for weight loss, it is considered off-label usage, unless the drug has specifically been approved for obesity treatment. Despite the wide variety of GLP agonists emerging for different purposes, there's been a noticeable trend of patients seeking them out, specifically for weight loss. This phenomenon has extended beyond the borders of the United States, with patients traveling to other countries, namely Canada and Mexico, in search of these drugs. In Mexico, the cost of anti-obesity medications are a fraction of what they are in America and are much easier to access. Many hospitals, diabetes clinics, and medical centers have begun offering these drugs on a regular basis. Even though medical tourism is not a new concept for Americans, social media sites like Reddit and TikTok have embraced this method as a cheap way to obtain GLP-1 agonists when they aren't covered by health insurance. In 2022, 9% of Ozempic's prescriptions in Canada were for US citizens, a figure 22 times higher than the prescriptions of all drugs filled for US citizens. The prescription patterns of GLP-1 drugs are a dynamic and evolving aspect of modern healthcare. These drugs, originally designed for specific conditions, are now playing multiple roles, addressing a wider range of health issues. But this is unfortunately no guarantee of accessibility, which we'll dive into next. We've seen the remarkable potential of these drugs, but now we must confront a challenging question. Who really has access to them? We know Ozempic, Wegovy, and Zepbound each have incredible potential to manage diabetes and obesity. However, their high costs, with list prices ranging from $1,000 to $1,500 per month, raise significant concerns about accessibility. For many, these prices are simply out of reach, creating a disparity in who can benefit from these groundbreaking treatments. Insurance companies, which play a significant role in the affordability of healthcare, will be heavily scrutinized with the rise of these anti-obesity drugs. The reluctance of many insurance companies to cover these drugs adds yet another layer to the issue. Insurers often hesitate to cover GLP-1 drugs despite their effectiveness, partly due to the high costs and partly because of the traditional views on obesity management, which have historically leaned more towards lifestyle changes rather than pharmaceutical interventions. In the short term, covering these drugs might seem like a costly endeavor for insurance companies. However, we and they need to look at the bigger picture. Treating obesity effectively with these drugs can lead to a significant decrease in obesity-related health conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, and hypertension. This will not only improve patient outcomes, but can also lead to overall healthcare savings by reducing the incidence and severity of these expensive long-term conditions, thus costing insurance companies less in the long run. But will it really? We'll dive deeper into the potential health impacts of these drugs later on, both the good and the bad. When it comes to access, however, there's a silver lining. Recent surveys, as reported by CNN and Healthline, indicate that the number of employees intending to include obesity medications in their health plans is projected to nearly double by 2024. This is a promising trend, reflecting a growing recognition of the importance of treating obesity as a medical condition that can impact employee well-being and productivity. However, there is a stark contrast when we look at government insurance programs like Medicare, which currently are legally prohibited from covering obesity treatments. This restriction is particularly concerning given that Medicare covers adults 65 and older, especially many who are low-income individuals, which is a demographic that could significantly benefit from access to these medications. But hope is on the horizon with the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act. Congress members recently introduced legislation, such as this act, that if passed, allow Medicare Part D, the prescription drug coverage section, to cover anti-obesity medications, dramatically increasing access for a significant portion of the population. The New York Times and The Atlantic highlighted that the passage for this act could set a precedent for commercial insurers, given that they often follow Medicare's lead in determining what treatments to cover, potentially leading to widespread changes in coverage policies for anti-obesity medications across the healthcare industry. The Treat and Reduce Obesity Act represents a critical step of a more comprehensive and equitable healthcare system. By addressing the coverage gap in Medicare, it acknowledges the complex nature of obesity and the need for medical interventions. This legislation's potential impact extends beyond just expanding access to medications. It signifies a shift in the healthcare paradigm, recognizing, once again, the importance of treating obesity as a chronic medical condition. If society's mindset towards obesity shifts and we begin treating it like an actual medical condition, we have to look not only at the health benefits, but also at the potential ripple effects through the economy, especially among industries which have been powerhouses for decades. Let's begin with the snacking and fast food industries. For decades, the snacking and fast food industry has been a titan of the global economy. Companies like McDonald's and Krispy Kreme have become household names, tapping into our love for sugary drinks and fatty foods. Historically, this industry has shown resilience, weathering economic downturns and the turbulent food trends. However, the emergence of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy is presenting a unique challenge. Here's the twist. These medications designed for diabetes management and weight loss are leading to reduced cravings and smaller appetites. Foods high in sugar and fat were the most avoided of all, and according to a Morgan Stanley survey, those who took the medications consumed up to 2/3 less confections, sugary drinks, and baked goods. This shift in consumer behavior is starting to reflect on the market. In early October, shares of Mondelez International, which produces Oreos and Ritz crackers, fell 7.7%, while PepsiCo and Hershey saw a similar slide. A report from the Wall Street Journal revealed that stocks for companies like Krispy Kreme began to fall in early November. However, the effect on fast food chains is small compared to what we might see happen to alcohol companies. In the same Morgan Stanley study, nearly a quarter of the participants said they gave up alcohol entirely, with 62% drinking less by some amount. The root cause? A decrease in demand for high-calorie, sugary, or fatty foods. It's a trend that's turning the snacking and fast food industry on its head. This industry has long thrived on the appeal of comfort food and the convenience of quick service. However, with more individuals using GLP-1 drugs, we're witnessing a redefinition of consumer preferences. People are now more inclined towards healthier options, aligning with their goals of weight management and overall well-being. This shift is not just a temporary blip, it's reshaping the fundamental dynamics of the industry. Looking ahead, the snacking and fast food sector may need to adapt to this changing landscape. We could see a pivot towards healthier menu options, a focus on smaller portion sizes, and even a rebranding to align with the evolving health-conscious consumer base. Businesses that primarily sell just one type of food or snack, such as M&Ms and Krispy Kreme, face a higher risk as they will find it more difficult to adjust their offerings. It's a challenging time for an industry that has long been a reliable staple of the global economy. The question now is, how will these companies innovate and reinvent themselves in the face of this unprecedented shift? The food industry is inextricably linked to the fashion and clothing industries, which will also face a seismic wave of change that could threaten to make entire business models obsolete and redefine entire market sectors. In the realm of fashion, size has always been a topic of conversation and sometimes controversy. But the advent of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy is bringing a new dimension to this conversation. As more individuals successfully manage their weight with these drugs, we're seeing a potential increase in demand for smaller-sized clothing. This shift could profoundly impact the fashion industry, which has been steadily moving towards inclusivity with a growing emphasis on plus sizes. For years, the fashion industry has been expanding its plus-size offerings, responding to a global rise in average body sizes and a growing movement for body positivity and inclusivity. Brands like J.Crew, ASOS, and others have been lauded for their inclusive sizing. However, the success of GLP-1 drugs might see a reversal in this trend. These two opposing forces one day might have to go head-to-head against each other. The demand for smaller sizes could surge, leading to a significant shift in inventory and production strategies. Companies may try to determine whether providing more inclusive sizing or increasing the production of smaller sizes will lead to more sales while avoiding public backlash. The fashion industry, known for its quick adaptation to trends, may find itself at the forefront of reflecting societal shifts in health and body image. It's a challenge, but also an opportunity for innovation and rebranding. Let's take a detour from food and fashion into the skies, where we can find the aviation industry as an example of one of the unexpected beneficiaries of the weight loss induced by these drugs. For years, airlines have been meticulous about weight, constantly seeking ways to reduce it to save on fuel. From lighter seats to removing in-flight magazines, every ounce counts. Korean Air, South Korea's flagship airline, even weighed its passengers during August and September to improve flight safety by determining the best airplane weight distribution and reducing fuel consumption. Now, with the increasing popularity of GLP-1 drugs, there is an unanticipated factor in the mix: the decreasing weight of passengers. In an industry where every pound matters, the weight loss experienced by passengers using GLP-1 drugs could lead to substantial savings in fuel costs for airlines. It's simple: lighter passengers require less fuel. United Airlines estimated that if passengers collectively weighed around 10 pounds lighter, it would save approximately 27.6 million gallons of fuel annually. That translates to roughly $80 million in savings, a significant number in an industry where profit margins are often razor thin. Besides just saving money and fuel, airlines could also be able to carry more passengers or cargo, optimizing their operations even further. It's a domino effect. Less fuel consumption means lower operating costs, which could potentially lead to more competitive airfares and increased profits. The sweeping changes to the three industries we discussed will be hard to predict and will undoubtedly affect the world in ways that we could not have predicted, for better and for worse. For starters, in the food industry, particularly snacking and fast food, a decrease in demand for high-calorie, sugary, or fatty foods can lead to a healthier population. This shift could encourage these industries to innovate and offer healthier options aligning with changing consumer preferences. However, the potential decline in demand poses significant challenges. Established brands, which are such large employers, may face revenue losses, leading to job cuts and an economic downturn. In fashion, the increasing demand for smaller sizes represents an opportunity for brands to cater to a broader demographic. This shift could lead to a more inclusive approach in fashion, celebrating health and wellness. On the flip side, this trend might lead to a decrease in demand for plus-sized apparel, which has been a growing segment in recent years. Brands may need to reevaluate their inventory and design strategies, potentially disrupting the market and affecting employment in the sector. Regarding aviation, fuel savings are a clear benefit. Reduced fuel consumption not only reduces operational costs, but also contributes to environmental sustainability, reducing the carbon footprint of air travel. The drawbacks here are less direct but still worth considering. The focus on passenger weight might lead to controversial policies or practices in the industry heavily focused around weight. If airplanes can carry more passengers, they could become even more cramped and uncomfortable. If lighter passenger weights leads to increased profits and more flights, it could inadvertently contribute to increased carbon emissions overall. As we can see, the influence of GLP-1 drugs extends far beyond the individual, affecting various sectors in both positive and negative ways. These developments remind us that advancements in healthcare often have broader social and economic implications, necessitating a balanced and thoughtful approach. However, usage of these drugs will not only affect the general economy, but the healthcare system itself. The broader healthcare industry is a behemoth that is virtually impossible to change in any meaningful way despite immense pressure to do so. However, drugs like Ozempic may finally be the catalyst to reshape healthcare in ways we've never seen before. Obesity is more than a health issue. It's a significant economic burden. According to the Harvard Chan School of Public Health, the United States spends about $190 billion annually on obesity-related medical costs. But let's break it down further. The George Washington University's Milken Institute School of Public Health reports that obesity costs the U.S. about $1.72 trillion each year, considering both direct medical costs and indirect costs like loss of productivity. On an individual level, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, found that people with obesity have medical costs that are, on average, $1,429 higher per year compared to those with normal weight. Within the US, Goldman Sachs estimates that average health spending for individuals diagnosed with obesity is about $12,588 compared to $4,699 for those without an obesity diagnosis. The disparity in out-of-pocket costs is also notable, with those diagnosed with obesity spending on average $1,487 annually, compared to $698 for those without any obesity diagnosis. Looking ahead, the cost implications of obesity are even more alarming. By 2035, obesity-related costs could balloon to a staggering $4 trillion globally if current trends continue. This underscores the urgency of finding effective solutions to manage and reduce obesity rates. As we dive into the numbers, it's crucial to understand the current stance of Medicare on obesity medication. Presently, Medicare, which provides health insurance to over 60 million adults over 65 or younger individuals with disabilities, does not cover drugs like Ozempic for weight loss. This is primarily because a 2003 act decreed that Medicare Part D excludes weight loss medications, along with drugs for fertility, cosmetics, and hair growth. The absence of coverage under Medicare is a significant gap, especially considering that around 40% of Americans are considered obese and obesity rates among Medicare beneficiaries have been rising. With the high cost of GLP-1 drugs, priced at about $16,000 per year, the lack of coverage puts a significant financial burden on patients. On the other hand, Medicaid, a joint federal and state program that provides health insurance to those with limited income and resources, covers nearly 90 million Americans. Medicaid is more flexible than Medicare, especially regarding prescription drugs, including those used for weight loss. Some states under Medicaid have already taken steps to provide coverage for anti-obesity medications. This approach aligns with the growing recognition of obesity as a complex health issue requiring medical intervention beyond just lifestyle changes. However, the inclusion of these drugs in Medicaid varies significantly from state to state. The decision to cover these medications often hinges on factors like budget constraints and the state's healthcare priorities. If Medicare Part D were to cover these drugs, the cost would be enormous. Just 10% of Medicare participants using these drugs could lead to an annual cost of about $26.8 billion. Nearly a fifth of Part D's spending in 2021. The potential benefits in terms of health outcomes for a significant segment of the population are clear. However, the financial implications for these already strained public healthcare systems cannot be overlooked. Within healthcare as a whole, two sectors may face a significant shakeup due to these drugs: the medical technology sector and the dieting industry. Recent developments in the field of anti-obesity drugs, particularly with Wegovy, have sent ripples through the medical technology sector. After a study highlighted Wegovy's role in reducing liver fat and the chance for heart attacks and strokes, companies manufacturing glucose monitors, sleep apnea machines, and devices for treating fatty liver disease experienced a notable drop in their market valuation. Liver disease companies saw up to a 25% drop in early July. Consider the case of Intuitive Surgical, known for its minimally invasive Da Vinci robots. The company has acknowledged a decline in demand for surgical procedures as patients increasingly opt for pharmaceutical interventions over surgery. CFO Jamie Samath highlighted that patients are now weighing the options of drugs versus surgery, indicating a shift in patient preferences. For a sector that makes up to $40 billion in annual sales, those most impacted may be companies that specialize in treating conditions highly correlated with obesity, such as knee replacements and sleep apnea. Companies like Inspire and Insulet, which produce insulin pumps, have seen a sharp decline in their shares. This may be a warning for how the future of the industry will look like once these drugs become more prevalent. Now turning to the dieting industry, companies like Herbalife, Weight Watchers, and Medifast are directly impacted by the rise of GLP-1 drugs. With the increasing popularity of these medications, traditional dieting approaches are being reevaluated. Morgan Stanley data reviews a decline from 29% to 20% in people subscribing to weight loss programs once they start taking GLP-1 drugs. This shift is compelling weight loss companies to rethink their business models, moving away from solely promoting diet and exercise. Weight Watchers, along with the digital-based dieting platform Noom, have embraced this change. Weight Watchers acquired a drug prescribing business called Sequence that connects healthcare providers with patients. On the other hand, companies like Herbalife have positioned themselves as alternatives to these drugs, with the company's chief health and nutrition officer stating true change will require changing your lifestyle. He compared it to the development of LASIK surgery, where it was predicted optometrists would become obsolete, but their business only increased due to patients needed glasses after LASIK. Wall Street's reaction has been telling. Weight Watchers stock has soared, reflecting investor confidence in companies that integrate GLP-1 drugs into their offerings. Conversely, Herbalife has not experienced such heights, with its stock's values falling by 1/3 since August 2023. We've talked about how these GLP-1 drugs will improve health outcomes for millions of Americans. There's no denying that, especially for individuals battling obesity and related health issues. These medications offer a new lease of life for many, significantly reducing the risks associated with obesity, such as heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. The preventive approach of these medications cause a decrease in the prevalence of these chronic conditions, helping alleviate the financial and resource burdens currently plaguing our healthcare system, leading to potentially lower healthcare costs in the long run. However, the increasing popularity of these drugs raises questions about their long-term impact on the healthcare system. The high cost of GLP-1 medications, averaging around $16,000 per year, could lead to increased healthcare spending, especially if programs like Medicare Part D decide to cover these medications. There's the potential for a significant cost burden. For instance, if just 10% of Medicare participants with obesity took obesity drugs, the annual cost could soar to $26.8 billion, a substantial portion of Part D's total spending. The medical technology sector, particularly companies involved in manufacturing devices for obesity-related conditions, could face a downturn. As more patients opt for pharmaceutical solutions over surgical interventions, the demand for these services might decrease. In the dieting industry, traditional weight loss programs are being reevaluated. Companies that fail to adapt to this new pharmaceutical era risk losing their market share. On the other hand, those embracing GLP-1 drugs are witnessing a surge in popularity and investor confidence. This brings us to the crux of the debate. On one hand, GLP-1 drugs offer undeniable health benefits, potentially transforming the lives of millions battling obesity. On the other hand, their widespread adoption may lead to significant shifts in the healthcare economy, challenging the viability of certain medical technologies and promoting a reconfiguration of the dieting industry. The question we must ask is, are we prepared for these changes? How do we balance the clear health benefits with the less obvious but equally significant economic and industrial consequences, along with any social ramifications? We've already discussed how anti-obesity drugs can reshape the economy and healthcare system, but a third area where they will play a massive role is societal health and lifestyle. Let's start with the potential health benefits these drugs could bring to the general populace. GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic have shown remarkable efficacy in reducing appetite and increasing satiety. This change can lead to healthier eating habits, potentially reducing the incidence of obesity-related health issues. This isn't just about weight loss, it's about improving overall metabolic health and reducing risks associated with conditions like type 2 diabetes and coronary artery disease. However, this blessing could easily turn into a curse. A false sense of security may form as people become overly reliant on these drugs to negate poor lifestyle choices. A similar example can be seen with statins, a group of medications introduced in the late 20th century that lowered the amount of LDL cholesterol, or bad cholesterol, in your blood. However, their introduction also led to unintended consequences. Many patients started over-relying on statins, neglecting essential lifestyle changes such as diet and exercise. The belief that a pill could manage their cholesterol levels led to complacency in addressing the root cause of their health issues. While deaths from cardiovascular conditions did fall, this fall is still questionable as there were artifactual changes in diagnosis, and even then, this fall was short of expectations. To avoid repeated history, it's crucial for healthcare providers to emphasize the importance of a holistic approach to health, where medication is just one part of the solution and not a magic bullet against obesity. Regular checkups, nutritional counseling, and lifestyle coaching can help patients integrate these medications into a broader health management plan. By doing so, we can maximize the benefits of GLP-1 drugs while mitigating the risks of over-reliance and neglect of crucial lifestyle changes. Moreover, the high cost of these medications means they're more accessible to affluent individuals, effectively turning them into an exclusive privilege for the wealthy, while the poor are left with fewer options. This disparity could create a visible divide where wealthier people benefiting from these drugs align more closely with traditional thin beauty standards, while those that can't afford such treatments are forced to go the traditional route of dieting and exercise. Such dynamics could deepen societal divisions, associating wealth with the ability to achieve certain health and body standards. Even though there's been a significant shift towards body positivity and inclusivity in recent years, that has challenged unrealistic beauty standards and reduced the stigma around being overweight, the widespread availability and popularity of GLP-1 drugs could undo all this progress. As these drugs become synonymous with rapid and substantial weight loss, they might inadvertently reinforce the idea that being thin is inherently superior, especially if the upper class can use them as they wish to maintain a slim appearance. This shift could unravel the hard-won acceptance of diverse body types and reinforce a narrow, often unattained beauty standard. With all the benefits and pitfalls that GLP-1 agonists might bring upon society, we must take a look at the ethical considerations of these drugs because they're not just medical breakthroughs. They also pose critical moral problems that humanity must solve. GLP-1 drugs are celebrated for managing obesity symptoms. But are we really addressing the root cause of obesity with these drugs? Obesity is a multifaceted health issue, deeply rooted in a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. While GLP-1 drugs offer significant weight loss benefits, experts warn they do not tackle the underlying causes of obesity. These drugs work by curbing appetite and increasing satiety, but they don't directly address the issues such as poor dietary habits, lack of physical activity, or the psychological aspects of eating disorders. However, a different perspective has emerged, with some experts saying the brain determines how much fat its body will carry outside of that person's control. Obesity causes overeating, and it's not the patient's fault. If this is true, then drugs like Zepbound dial back how much fat the brain chooses and eliminate obesity from where it originates. Now, regardless of whether or not anti-obesity drugs are the root cause of obesity, that doesn't change the possibility that society will become dependent on them. These drugs, by design, reduce appetite and increase feelings of fullness. This mechanism, while beneficial for weight loss, might lead some individuals to overly rely on the medication for managing their weight. Like our comparison with statins earlier, an ethical dilemma emerges. Are we inadvertently encouraging a passive approach to health? By offering a pharmacological shortcut, there is a risk that individuals might neglect the importance of healthy eating habits and regular physical activity. Such an over-reliance on medication can undermine the broader goals of health and wellness. Furthermore, we don't know what happens when someone stops taking the drug without adopting healthier lifestyles. Are we setting them up for a rebound in weight? Or a worsening of metabolic health? All of these questions must be thoroughly studied now in order to fill in the gaps of our knowledge. Relying on medications to curb obesity not only reduces the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, but also might bring unwanted side effects. So far, we know common side effects including gastrointestinal issues such as nausea, diarrhea, and constipation. These symptoms, although often mild and temporary, can significantly affect a patient's daily life and comfort. More concerning, however, are the potential long-term health risks that might emerge. The long-term safety profile of GLP-1 drugs is still an area under active study. For instance, there have been questions raised about their impact on the pancreas, including the risks of pancreatitis, a serious and painful inflammation of the pancreas. Furthermore, the potential effects of these drugs on heart rate and kidney function are areas that warrant careful monitoring and further research. This brings us to the ethical implications of prescribing drugs with potential long-term health risks, especially considering that the long-term data on these medications is still limited. As healthcare providers, there is a duty to balance the immediate benefits of weight loss against the unknowns of long-term use. It raises an ethical dilemma. How do we navigate this uncertainty while ensuring the best outcomes for our patients? How do we balance reducing obesity and any life-threatening conditions it causes with unknown and potential severe side effects? Throughout today's episode, we've focused on adults, but it would not be complete without mentioning the implementation of GLP-1 agonists in children. The decision to prescribe these medications to younger individuals is filled with complex ethical implications, especially given their developing bodies and the potential long-term consequences. Last January, the American Academy of Pediatrics updated their guidelines for treating childhood obesity for the first time in 15 years, given the rise of childhood obesity rates to 20%, with 15 million children and teenagers suffering from the condition. A number of anti-obesity drugs have been approved for adolescents 12 and up, along with bariatric surgery in extreme cases. The primary concern lies in the impact of these drugs on the developing bodies of children and adolescents. While adult bodies may respond to these medications in predictable ways, the same cannot be said for younger individuals, whose bodies are still growing and changing. The potential long-term consequences of their physical development, hormonal balance, and overall health are not yet fully understood, making the decision to prescribe these drugs a matter of ethical scrutiny. Additionally, Parents are concerned that their children must take these medications for many years or else they will gain their weight back. It's also imperative to discuss the importance of informed consent and involving guardians in the decision-making process. For children and adolescents, the concept of informed consent becomes even more crucial as they may not fully grasp the long-term implications of taking such medications. Parents and guardians, along with healthcare providers, must engage in transparent conversations about the risks, benefits, and alternatives to GLP-1 drug therapy. Let's zoom out for a bit and discuss informed consent. Informed consent is more than just a formality. It's a cornerstone of ethical healthcare that empowers patients to make educated decisions about their healthcare. This is particularly crucial with GLP-1 drugs. Given the nuances of their effects, potential side effects, and the long-term commitment they entail, patients must be fully aware of what these medications can and cannot do, the risks they pose, and the alternatives available to them. In the context of GLP-1 drugs, informed consent takes on added significance. For one, the portrayal of these drugs in media and popular culture can sometimes oversimplify or glamorize their effects. It's essential that healthcare providers cut through this noise, presenting a clear and accurate picture of the drug's potential benefits and risks. This means discussing not just the possibility of weight loss and improved metabolic health, but also the potential side effects and the importance of complementing medication with lifestyle changes. Just as with younger patients, where guardians play a crucial role in informed decision-making, adult patients also deserve comprehensive information to guide their choices. This ensures that their decision to embark on a course of GLP-1 drugs is made with a full understanding of what it entails, a commitment to not just taking medication, but potentially altering one's lifestyle and approach to health. Sometimes the media and marketing seems inescapable, especially when a product is being pushed forward as much as these drugs are. The way they are marketed not only influences consumer behavior, but also shapes societal norms and perceptions about body image and health. We've witnessed a surge in advertising spending for obesity and diabetes drugs, with reports indicating that from the beginning of 2023 till September, nearly $500 million were spent on such ads. One of the critical ethical issues in this realm is the portrayal of body image and weight loss. Advertisements for GLP-1 drugs, such as Ozempic and Wegovy, often feature slim and fit individuals, reinforcing a societal idea that equates thinness with health and desirability. The platform used for these advertisements also plays a significant role. Social media channels, for instance, have become hotbeds for weight loss drug ads. Platforms like Instagram are rife with influencers and sponsored content promoting GLP-1 drugs, sometimes without adequate disclosure or medical context. This type of marketing, especially in spaces frequented by younger audiences, raises ethical concerns about the influence of impressionable minds to conform to certain body standards. Another area of concern is the ethical responsibility of marketers in presenting these drugs. While it's crucial to inform potential users about the benefits of GLP-1 drugs, there's a fine line between informative advertising and promoting a drug as a quick fix solution to complex health issues like obesity. Ethical marketing should prioritize accurate information, including potential side effects, and the importance of a holistic approach to weight loss, which encompasses diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes. Recently, companies like Ro have come under scrutiny for their subway ads promoting weight loss drugs. These ads, often featuring catchy slogans and appealing visuals, can downplay the seriousness of obesity as a medical condition and oversimplify the treatment process. It's imperative that advertisements for GLP-1 drugs maintain a balance between attracting consumer interest and responsibly conveying the seriousness and complexity of obesity treatment. As we conclude our exploration of GLP-1 drugs' ethical considerations, it's clear that these medications present a complex ethical landscape. From addressing obesity's root causes to managing dependency risks and side effects, the responsibility lies in balancing medical efficacy with ethical integrity. Ethical marketing, informed consent, and patient autonomy are key. This discussion highlights the need for a considered approach in prescribing these drugs, ensuring decisions align with patients' best interests and overall health. As we move into our last segment of this episode, we'll talk about addiction potentials. Remarkably, GLP-1 drugs, primarily known for their impact on diabetes and weight loss, have shown intriguing effects on addictive behaviors. There's a growing body of anecdotal evidence suggesting that individuals on drugs like Ozempic experience a notable decrease in compulsive behaviors, from lessened urges to shop excessively to reduced nail biting and even decreased alcohol consumption. But what's fascinating here is that these drugs don't necessarily reduce the feelings of pleasure associated with these activities. Instead, they appear to break the cycle of obsessive thoughts that often drive these compulsions. This phenomenon has caught the attention of the scientific community. Researchers are delving into how GLP-1 drugs interact with the brain's reward and addiction pathways. It seems these medications might be influencing the neurochemical circuits involved in addiction, offering a glimmer of hope for treating various compulsive behaviors. However, it's crucial to approach this with a dose of caution. We're still in early stages of understanding these effects. But here's where we encounter another ethical conundrum. Suppose GLP-1 drugs are indeed effective in curbing addictive behaviors. In that case, there's a risk that users might develop a dependency on these medications themselves. Imagine relying on a drug like Ozempic, not just for weight management, but also to keep other addictions at bay. This raises a significant ethical question. Are we merely swapping one form of addiction for another? The possibility of long-term reliance on these drugs, especially when used as a crutch to manage addictions, is a concern that cannot be ignored. We must consider the implications of prescribing a medication initially intended for diabetes and obesity management as a treatment for addiction. It's a delicate balancing act between the benefits of reduced compulsive behaviors and the risk of fostering a new dependency. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this comprehensive episode, it's time to reflect on the complex journey of Ozempic and its kin in the GLP-1 drug class. We've navigated through the fascinating medical breakthroughs these drugs represent in treating diabetes and obesity, witnessed their transformative impact on patient lives, and contemplated the broader implications they carry for society and healthcare. We've explored the multifaceted world of these medications, from their role in managing diabetes to their newfound accidental yet worldwide fame in weight loss. We've delved into the economic implications, the ethical debates, and the societal shifts they're driving. We've seen how these drugs are not just changing individual health outcomes, but also reshaping entire industries and cultural norms. But as we've discovered, the story of Ozempic and similar drugs is not without its complexities. While they offer significant health benefits, they also bring forth challenges and ethical considerations. From potential addiction and dependency to the impact on societal inequalities and healthcare costs, these drugs have sparked a crucial conversation about the future of medical treatment and health equity. Our health and the health of our society depend on a balanced approach that considers not just the immediate benefits of such medications, but their long-term implications as well. As we move forward, let us embrace both the potential and the challenges of these medical innovations. Let's be advocates for responsible use, informed choices, and equitable access. Let's continue to learn, to question, and to engage in meaningful dialogues about the future of healthcare. And last but not least, I want to thank our research assistant, Brian Lee, for researching and helping prepare this episode. Thank you for joining me on this insightful exploration. Remember, the journey to better health and a deeper understanding of medical science is ongoing, and each one of us plays a part in it. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay healthy. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Gustavo Franco Podcast. We hope our exploration of the world of healthcare has been insightful and thought-provoking for you. Remember, the opinions expressed here are ours and of our guests and should not be considered professional advice. This podcast is a collaborative learning experience for both the producers and listeners. While we strive to convey accurate and up-to-date information, we acknowledge that our research may have limitations. We encourage all of our listeners to supplement their knowledge by conducting their own research. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date on our future releases, make sure to subscribe or follow us on your preferred podcast platform and social media. We highly value your feedback, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for future topics. Thank you for joining us on this healthcare exploration. Together, we can foster a more educated America and contribute to a more effective healthcare future. Until next time, take care and stay informed.